The world champion Domaraju Gukesh takes fort at the St. Louis Rapid and Blitz 2025. This is part of the Grand Chess Tour. Is the fourth leg. Gukesh is a full-time Grand Chess Tour participant. He did play well in Zagreb, where he finished at the top of the table in the Rapid ahead of Magnus Carlsen, but then slumped in the Blitz and finished around third position in that tournament. Before coming to this event, Gukesh played a exhibition blitz match against Jan Krzysztof Duda that did not go his way. He lost it 5-1. And here he is now at the St. Louis in USA, and his opponent is Grigory Oparin. Gukesh started off this tournament with a loss against Levon Aronian, and this is the second round. Oparin is known as a very solid player. He's also been the second of Fabiano Caruana, so one can expect him to be very good at openings. Gukesh, on the other hand, needs this win to make a comeback in this tournament, because starting off with a loss is not a great thing, but he did start off with a loss in Zagreb as well and then came back strongly in the World Championship also. He started with a loss, so it's not uncommon for Gukesh to start off a little bit slowly in tournaments. He's focusing there, gets ready now, a handshake, and we are off. Gukesh opens the game with 1 e4. And Oparin responds back with the Sicilian, knight to f3. And now Oparin taking a bit of time to decide which Sicilian he wants to go to. He goes knight to c6. And maybe we'll have, yes, the Sicilian Rosolimo is on the board with bishop to b5. And pawn comes up to d6. One of the things that I love about Sicilian Rosolimo is that white can quickly castle. You bring the knight out, you bring the bishop out, you quickly castle it out. Bishop comes to d7, and now rook e1 with the idea of c3 d4 that white wants to play. a6 played. Now you can take the knight and play quickly d4, going for development, or bishop f1 like Gukesh did, making space for his bishop. Knight comes out to f6, and now Gukesh plays pawn to h3, stopping the bishop from coming to g4. e5 played by Oparin, and Gukesh is very quick to go for c3. He wants to play d4. Bishop e7 played and pawn to d4. Oparin should do well to take twice here on d4. Take. But instead goes b5. And now here d5 looks like a good move. He pushes forward. The knight may go to b8 or a5. These are normal moves. But Oparin goes knight a7. Is the knight well placed there? Well, his hope is knight c8, knight b6. a4 played, striking on the queen side structure. And Grigory just castles it out. You can see that black has almost each of his piece developed. Gukesh does not have his knight, bishop developed, but the rook opens up, and this b4 is such a nice move. And Oparin pushes c4, risky chess. The knight on a7 is bit of trouble. Here if you play bishop e3, he can go queen b8 and then move the knight, which is the reason why Gukesh finds an amazing move, rook e2. He wants to double up on the a file. If the knight moves away, the rook is hanging and the knight has nowhere else to go. So Oparin gives back the piece. This is not ideal, but it was kind of forced. And it's interesting to see that even after winning the piece, how much compensation black has. The reason for it is that after pawn takes knight, bishop takes, the e4 pawn is under pressure here 3 times, while it's defended only once. So you're going to lose 2 pawns now for a piece. Knight d2, he takes on e4 with the knight. And this is decent compensation. Knight takes e4, bishop takes e4, putting pressure on the knight on f3, and Gukesh is so chill about it. He's like, if you want to spoil my structure, go for it, but I'll get my bishop here on the d5 square. So Oparin, instead of taking, goes h6. He doesn't take the piece. And Gukesh now goes rook d2, putting pressure here on the d6 pawn. Queen a3, lovely move, attacking c3. You can't defend it because all these squares are covered by the black pieces. But he sacks an exchange. Bishop takes d6, queen takes on d6. An incredible move here by Gukesh. He's given up an exchange and now bishop f3. Okay, you take back and you have two pieces for a rook, which is nice. What? Gukesh takes on e5? He's now exchanged down? What the hell is this? Bishop comes back. Oparin is like, Gukesh, bishop for bishop. I have a rook now for your bishop. But Gukesh is like, mate in one. f6, blocking it. What's the plan now here? Well, turns out Gukesh is going to chop off this pawn, attacking the bishop, then win another pawn. Oh my god, the transformation is amazing. Queen takes b5. Hitting here, the bishop has to move. Yeah, you can't give up that bishop. So he comes back, queen a8, putting pressure on the g2 point. But now, look at this, bishop c4. Gukesh chops it off with a check. And now he has two pawns and a bishop for a rook. This is a clearly stronger formation. King h8. And f3 played, blocking this diagonal here of the bishop and the queen. Rook comes to c8. And now bishop d3 I love, because then you can go queen f5 and just launch the attack. Another thing is that the rook has no open files. Bishop d5 trying to block this path. Gukesh goes queen d7, he should go. Because queen d7, queen f5 is super strong. He finds it. Let's go. Queen d7 with the idea of queen f5. With a checkmate, you can see Gukesh looking super confident there. Bishop g8. And now queen to f5. A very strong move. Rook to d8. And now this amazing move is happening in the position. Queen takes f6. Pawn takes. Bishop takes. Nothing less than a checkmate. Will Gukesh find it? I'm pretty sure he will. He's played an insane game, and I think it's just the perfect way to finish it off. Yes, he takes it. Queen takes f6. And there is threat of g7 mate. There's queen takes h6 also hanging because of the pin here. There's no way to save it. Oparin. Whoa, beautiful sportsmanship there, allowing Gukesh to checkmate there. And what a game, guys. What a game by Domaraju Gukesh there. I absolutely loved how he doubled his rooks on the like he was going to go rook e2, rook a2, then giving up that piece on f3. Even before that, sacking that rook on d6. So many transformations, so many imbalances. And Gukesh is now back in the event with this win. 2 points for every win in the rapid section. And that was a very important one. But more than just the win, it was the way he did it. It was absolutely stunning. Kudos to Gukesh. And we hope that he plays well. For now, this is Sagar Shah signing off. The most natural move in this position is bishop e3, because it hits the knight and it puts pressure here. But after queen b8, there is no way to increase the pressure on this particular move, and the knight is going to c8. So Gukesh recognizes this and plays his rook to e2, which is a very nice move, because now even if you play queen b8, the pin still remains after rook e2 with bishop e3. So there's just no way to save the knight, and I think Oparin did the right thing by giving back the piece. But here, if we look at this position, it might seem that Gukesh is a piece up, but he has to be careful. And the most amazing thing happened here when the opponent attacked this pawn. It's not so easy to defend it, because queen c1 is not possible, rook c2 is not possible, queen c2 is not possible. So it takes on d6, takes, queen takes, and now bishop f3. And I was expecting gf3, which is a completely fine move. And after queen c3, black has decent play. White is still better. But Gukesh finds this amazing move, queen e5. With the idea of bishop d4, But more importantly, look at this. He's given up an exchange now. He was a piece up, so he gave up essentially a rook entirely. But he understood the imbalance so well that now he has these and two pawns and a bishop, and then finally the last move after rook d8. There's no other way to win. If you try to go bishop f6, then there is this move queen a7 check, and after king h1 there is rook f8, and black is doing completely fine, in fact even winning. So that's the reason why it was important to play this move queen f6, which is completely crushing. I mean, rook d4 is the only way to get out of this, but then this is totally winning this with these two extra pawns. And that's the reason why I find this game to be absolutely stunning, with such a beautiful finish with the two bishops checkmate. Amazing play by Gukesh.